right now in this very moment. Your life is unfolding. The choices you make, the thoughts you entertain, and the emotions you cling to are shaping your reality. And yet so many of us live as if we are trapped, as if life is a rigid structure and unchangeable path. We tell ourselves stories of limitation, of failure, of regret. But what if I told you there is another way? The mind is a relentless storyteller. It replays the past, projects fear into the future, and convinces you that you are stuck. But the truth is, you are never stuck. No situation is fixed. No identity is permanent. No obstacle is insurmountable. The key to transformation is not in waiting for the perfect moment. It is in realizing that the moment you are in right now holds infinite potential. There is a story of a man who had nothing. He was homeless, addicted, broken. Society had labeled him as a failure, and for years he believed it. But one day something shifted. He woke up on a park bench and realized that the only thing keeping him in that cycle was his belief that he belonged there. He stood up, he walked into a library and picked up a book instead of a bottle. He filled his mind with wisdom instead of doubt. That one decision, that single shift in perspective, changed everything. Today, that man is an author, a speaker, an inspiration to millions. The same shift is available to you. It doesn't matter where you have been. It doesn't matter how many times you have fallen. What matters is this: are you willing to see another way? Fear will whisper, it's too late. Your past will scream, you always fail. But they are illusions, shadows cast by a mind addicted to its own suffering. The only reality is this moment, and in this moment, you can make a new choice. You can let go of who you were and step into who you are becoming. Look around you. Everything great, everything extraordinary was once impossible. Every successful person you admire was once uncertain. Every breakthrough in history happened because someone refused to believe in limits. So why not you? Why not now? Life is not waiting, the clock is ticking. And yet here you are, breathing, alive, capable. There is another way, a way beyond doubt, beyond fear, beyond hesitation. And that way begins the moment you decide, today I change. You are not stuck. It may feel like you are. It may seem as if life has closed in around you, trapping you in circumstances that are impossible to escape. Your mind tells you that nothing will ever change, that you are destined to remain exactly where you are, repeating the same struggles, the same disappointments, the same patterns. But that is not the truth. The truth is, you are far more powerful than you realize. The truth is, you are only ever as stuck as you believe yourself to be. Consider this: the walls that seem to confine you, the barriers that feel immovable, they are often built from nothing more than your own perception. The limits you see are not fixed. They are stories your mind has repeated so many times that you have mistaken them for reality. But reality is fluid, it is ever changing, and at any given moment you have the ability to step beyond the illusion of limitation. Think about a caged bird. If it has been the cage long enough, even when the door is left open, it may not fly away, not because it cannot, but because it has forgotten that it was ever meant to. How many times in your own life have you been like that bird, sitting in an open cage, convinced that freedom is impossible simply because you have spent too long believing otherwise? Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but he did not allow the walls around him to define his mind. Viktor Frankl endured the horrors of concentration camps, but he discovered that even in the most extreme circumstances, a person still has the power to choose their perspective. These individuals were not free by external standards, but they were free within. And because of that inner freedom, they ultimately changed not just their own lives, but the world. What you perceive as a dead end is often just a blind spot. A new path exists, even if you do not see it yet. The conditions of your life are not set in stone. Your mind is the architect, and in every moment you have the ability to redesign. There is no final verdict on who you are or what you can become. The key is not in waiting for external circumstances to shift, but in realizing that you have always held the power to shift yourself. The present moment holds infinite potential. Right now, in this very breath, you are standing at a doorway between who you were and who you can become. But most people don't see it. They live as though their past is dragging them forward, as though the weight of yesterday dictates what is possible today. They wait for the perfect moment, the right conditions, the guarantee of success before they take a step. And in that waiting, they give away their power. Life is never happening in the past. It is not unfolding in the future. It is only ever right here in this moment. Yet the mind clings to old wounds, replays past failures, and projects fears into a future that doesn't even exist yet. This is the illusion that keeps people trapped. The idea that change is something distant, that transformation is something that happens later. But later is just another word for never if you don't decide to act now. Consider the stories of those who turned their lives around. It never began with some grand external shift. It was never a perfect moment, never a sign from the universe that told them it was time. It was a choice, a single decision made in an ordinary moment to no longer be who they were yesterday. A person in the depths of addiction who decides, this is the last drink. A struggling writer who sits down to type the first words of a book that will change their life. A person who has spent years drowning in doubt, who finally says, I will no longer believe in my own limitations. That moment of choice is available to you right now. But most people let it slip away, distracted by worries that don't serve them, shackled by fears that are not real. The only thing stopping you from changing your life in this instant is the belief that you cannot. You do not need to know every step ahead. You do not need to have it all figured out. All you need is to recognize that this moment is yours. That right now in this breath you can make a decision that shifts everything. Because when you stop postponing your own power, when you step fully into the now, you step into a world of limitless possibility. Your thoughts shape your reality. Everything you believe about yourself, your abilities, and your future is a result of the thoughts you have entertained repeatedly. The mind is a powerful architect, constantly constructing the world you experience. If you tell yourself you are not good enough, that life is unfair, that success is for others but not for you, then those thoughts become the foundation of your reality. But if you shift your thoughts, if you begin to feed your mind with ideas of possibility, of growth, of resilience, then your reality will shift with them. Most people live in a prison they have built themselves, a prison of doubt, fear, and self-imposed limits. They see challenges and tell themselves they are too weak to overcome them. They see opportunities but convince themselves they are not ready, and without realizing it, they create a life that matches these limiting beliefs. The truth is, your mind is either your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. If you allow it to run on autopilot, filled with old fears and self-defeating narratives, it will keep you small. But the moment you take control, the moment you choose to be intentional with your thoughts, everything begins to change. Think about the world's greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists. What separates them from the average person is not just talent or luck. It is the way they think. They refuse to accept the limits that others impose. They train their minds to see solutions where others see obstacles. They tell themselves a different story, one of perseverance, of possibility, of greatness. And because they believe it, they live it. A man who believes he is doomed to fail will not take action. A woman who thinks she is unworthy of success will sabotage every opportunity she receives. But someone who believes in their ability to grow, who sees setbacks as lessons rather than defeats, will rise again and again. The mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of doubt, you will harvest a life of hesitation and regret. But if you plant seeds of courage, self-belief, and determination, your life will flourish. You are not at the mercy of your circumstances. You are at the mercy of your thoughts. And the good news is, you have the power to change them. When you change the way you think, you change the way you live. Small shifts lead to big changes. People often believe that transformation requires massive actions, a grand leap, or a dramatic event. They think they need to wait for the perfect opportunity, a stroke of luck, or an external push before they can begin changing their lives. But the truth is, the most profound transformations rarely happen in a single moment of revolution. They happen through small, consistent shifts, tiny adjustments in thought, habit, and perspective accumulate over time, leading to extraordinary outcomes. Consider the course of an aeroplane. If a pilot shifts the nose of the plane by just a few degrees, the destination changes entirely. A flight meant for New York could end up in a completely different country with a minor adjustment. Life works the same way. A small shift in how you think, what you do, or how you respond to challenges can completely alter your future. History is filled with stories of people who changed their lives not through sudden miracles, but through tiny, intentional choices. A person drowning in debt decides to save just 1% of their income, and over time they achieve financial freedom. A writer commits to writing just a few sentences a day, and years later they publish a book that changes lives. A person struggling with self-doubt chooses to replace one negative thought with a positive one each morning, and over time, their confidence transforms. The problem is that people dismiss small changes because they seem insignificant. They think that unless they see immediate results, their efforts are wasted. But success is not about overnight transformation. It is about momentum. A single step forward, no matter how small, is still movement in the right direction. And once you take that first step, the next one becomes easier. If you want to change your life, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for motivation to strike like lightning. Start small. Start now. Because the smallest shift, done consistently, has the power to create a future beyond anything you can imagine. Your past does not define you. The mistakes you have made, the failures you have experienced, the pain you have endured, none of it has the power to dictate who you are or where you are going unless you allow it to. Too many people carry their past like a heavy chain, dragging it with them into every new opportunity, every new relationship, every new dream. They let old wounds convince them they are broken. They let past failures whisper that they will never succeed. But the truth is, your past is nothing more than a collection of moments that have already passed. It is not a life sentence. It is not your identity. People often believe that because they have struggled, they are destined to continue struggling. That because they have failed before, they will fail again. But failure is not a reflection of who you are. It is simply an event. And events do not define you. What you do after them does. Every successful person has failed. Every strong person has known weakness. Every wise person has made mistakes. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is the willingness to let go of what no longer serves them. Oprah Winfrey was once told she was unfit for television. Steve Jobs was fired from the very company he founded. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. If these people had allowed their pasts to define them, the world would never have known their greatness. But they refused. They understood that the past is a teacher, not a prison. They used their experiences as fuel to build something new rather than as proof that they were unworthy. You have that same power. No matter how many times you have fallen, you can rise again. No matter how many wrong turns you have taken, you can choose a new direction. The past only has as much power as you give it. The moment you decide to stop identifying with your mistakes, your failures, or your pain, you set yourself free. You are not who you were yesterday. You are not your worst decision. You are not the pain you have endured. You are whoever you decide to become, starting in this moment. The past is behind you, and the future is waiting. All that matters is what you choose to do now. Fear and doubt are illusions. They feel real. They grip your chest, whisper in your mind, and convince you that you are not ready, not capable, not worthy. They disguise themselves as logic, as caution, as self-protection, but in reality, fear and doubt are nothing more than stories your mind tells you. Stories based on the past, based on uncertainty, based on imagined failures that have not even happened. They are shadows. And like all shadows, they disappear the moment you bring light to them. Fear is not a barrier, it is a test. It asks you a simple question. Will you believe in it, or will you move forward anyway? The greatest achievements in history did not happen because someone felt fearless. They happened because someone felt fear and still took action. Every great leader, every world-class athlete, every innovator has felt doubt. The difference is that they did not let it stop them. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. If he had believed the voice of doubt, telling him he would never succeed, the world would still be in darkness. Think of J.K. Rowling, who was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. What if she had listened to the fear that said she wasn't good enough? What if she had let rejection define her? Fear is not proof that you should stop. It is proof that you are on the edge of something new. It only shows up when you are stepping into the unknown. And the unknown is where all growth happens. If you wait for fear to disappear before you take action, you will wait forever. The people who accomplish great things are not fearless. They are simply unwilling to let fear decide their fate. Doubt is no different. It is a voice in your mind, an echo of past failures or external criticism, but it is not reality. The only reason doubt has power is because you listen to it. The moment you stop treating it as truth, it loses its grip on you. Every time you push through fear, every time you act despite doubt, you weaken their hold. Your potential is not limited by fear. It is limited by your willingness to believe in it. When you stop seeing fear and doubt as barriers and start seeing them as illusions, you become unstoppable. Every extraordinary achievement was once impossible. The world you live in today, the technology you use, the discoveries that shape your life, the opportunities before you, exists because someone refused to accept the idea that something could not be done. Everything that now seems ordinary was once unimaginable. Planes flying across the sky, voices traveling through wires, humans walking on the moon, all of it was dismissed as impossible until someone made it real. The limits you perceive are not fixed. They are boundaries created by past experience, by societal conditioning, by the doubts of those who never dared to try. But history has proven time and time again that those who challenge the impossible are the ones who change the world. The Wright brothers were told that human flight was a fantasy. Scientists claimed that running a mile in under 4 minutes was beyond human capability. Until Roger Bannister did it. Entrepreneurs, artists, and pioneers throughout history have faced ridicule for their dreams, yet they moved forward anyway, and in doing so, they redefined reality. The same principle applies to your own life. The goals that seem too big, the dreams that feel out of reach, the obstacles that appear too great, they are only impossible if you believe they are. The mind naturally gravitates toward doubt when faced with the unknown. But the unknown is where all breakthroughs happen. Every person who has achieved something remarkable started in the same place, with uncertainty, with fear, with no guarantee of success. The difference is they refuse to let those feelings dictate their actions. If you look around and see limitations, you must ask yourself, are these real or are they just inherited beliefs? How many times have people told you something couldn't be done, only for you to later discover it was possible? How many times have you doubted yourself, only to surprise yourself with what you were truly capable of? What seems impossible today may one day be part of your reality if you are willing to take the first step toward it. The world is not shaped by those who accept limits, it is shaped by those who defy them. And the truth is, there is no such thing as impossible, only things that have not yet been done. The time to change is now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. The mind is a master of delay, always finding reasons to postpone action. It tells you that you need more time, more resources, more confidence, more certainty. It convinces you that the conditions are not yet perfect, that the moment to begin is always just out of reach. And so you wait. You wait for motivation to strike, for fear to disappear, for a sign that guarantees success. But while you wait, life moves forward without you. Think about the people who have achieved greatness. Do you believe they had no doubts, no fears, no obstacles standing in their way? Of course they did, but they acted anyway. They understood that waiting for the right time was an illusion. The right time is always the moment you decide to begin. People often say they will change when they feel more confident, but confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build through action. They say they will start when they have more knowledge, more experience, more certainty, but knowledge and experience come from doing, not from waiting. The longer you delay, the more power you give to hesitation. The longer you wait, the more likely you are to convince yourself that change is impossible. What if you stopped waiting? What if, instead of postponing your dreams, you took a single step toward them today? What if you embraced the discomfort of starting before you feel ready? The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, luck, or resources. It is the willingness to act, the willingness to step into uncertainty, the willingness to start now. Because if not now, then when? If not today, then how many more days will slip by before you finally decide to live the life you are capable of? The choice is yours, the time is now. Change is always within your reach. You are not stuck, you are not bound by your past, you are not limited by fear, doubt, or the illusion of impossibility. Every extraordinary transformation, every breakthrough, every success story began with a single decision. The decision to see beyond limitations, to take action despite uncertainty, and to believe in a new possibility. The thoughts you entertain shape your reality. The small shifts you make today determine the course of your future. Fear may whisper that you are not ready, but fear is a liar. Doubt may try to hold you back, but doubt only has power if you listen to it. The world has been changed by those who refused to accept limits, by those who dared to step forward before they felt prepared. And now it is your turn. No more waiting for the perfect moment. No more postponing your dreams. No more believing that transformation is for someone else but not for you. The time to act is not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Right now, in this very moment, you have the power to make a choice that alters the trajectory of your life. If not now, when? If not you, who? The door to change has always been open. All that's left is for you to step through it